Good afternoon, everybody. It is September 18th at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Time, and welcome to the Hypertrophic Cardiomyopathy Association's official Facebook page. Today we have an exciting announcement. We are launching a brand new HCMA recognized Center of Excellence at Duke University Medical Center, and with our old friend Andrew Wang, who is going to join me here and talk to you today about their program. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lisa, very much for inviting me and broadcasting this.
We're really excited to finally have you officially on the HCMA team. We were just talking amongst ourselves about how long we've actually known each other, which probably makes us both feel a little bit older than we want to feel. So we figured that 2002, 2003, we crossed paths at the American Heart Association. And I know that we had the infamous dinner at Brennan's in New Orleans. I think it was 2004, maybe 5. And there's some funny stories we can share about that, but for another day. And I just wanted to say it's really great to finally have all the paperwork done and have the official relationship sealed, and welcome to the HCMA family officially. So
thank you.
You're welcome. I want you to tell us a little bit about how you started in HCM and where you came from, and a little bit about yourself personally.
All right, great. Well, as background, I grew up in this area that is around Duke in Durham. So I'm one of the few native Durhamites here, and did a lot of my training here and came back here for my cardiology fellowship and joined the faculty here in 1997. So Lisa knows this, but right around that time, there were some of the first reports of doing alcohol septal ablation. As someone who works also in the cath lab, and knew that there were needs for offering new therapies to patients with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, I became interested in that, but also the sort of wider disease process in terms of, what these patients have to live with, and what ways there might be to help them feel better. So along those lines, I thought, well, we're just not going to do the procedure. We need to obviously treat the whole patient and try to identify, okay, which patient really needs other therapies, which patient needs which therapies. And so that's where it all started, and that's why I think I sought you out at that American Heart Association meeting. What year did the HCMA start? How many years had I been behind then?
Well, we actually were founded in 1996. I attended my first American Heart in 97. And then I had my first booth in 1998. So you weren't too far off the roll there.
Yeah.
You were right at the time that I was figuring out that sending all these patients that we were finding here at the HCMA to 3 or 4 centers in the country probably wasn't going to be adequate long term, and that we needed to scale up and find interested physicians around the country. And that's exactly what we did do. We found a lot of them, and now your program is now number 35 in our family of centers of excellence, which is really exciting to us.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So you're native to the area, so you didn't have to relocate and learn a new language like some of our people do when they move to the north to the south and all that. So tell me about the rest of your team. Are they transplants or are they Durhamites?
I'm the only Durhamite, I think, but there are a lot of people who did train here and wound up either staying or coming back like me. So we really have a fantastic team starting at the top with our Heart Center leadership. They've been very supportive of building this program, of applying for a Center of Excellence designation. I know you met many of them when you were here, but also behind the scenes, supporting the staff in the clinic, as well as the genetic counseling and our adult cardiovascular genetics clinic. So our leadership has been very supportive of this whole effort and endeavor. So I'm glad to see this follow through. Along with me on the cardiology side, there's an interventional cardiologist, Dr. Todd Kiefer, who works and assists with the alcohol septal ablations that we do. We have two outstanding experienced surgeons here, Dr. Don Glauer, one of the more senior ones, Dr. Carmelo Milano here as well, who is our former transplant director, so very experienced with very complicated patients with very ill hearts. We have a fantastic electrophysiology program with Dr. Jim Daubert, who has collaborated on some of the studies of ICD in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. We have really phenomenal cardiac MRI imaging as well as echo imaging. Our cardiac MRI director, Ray Kim, was one of the really initial investigators to describe some of the MRI findings in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So it's great that he came from Northwestern and is here. We have genetic counseling, as I mentioned. Ruth Lehan is just wonderful in talking to patients, giving them genetic counseling, following through on testing results. I have a nurse who supports me as well, Marsha McMurtry, who really is the connection between me and the HCM patients when I'm not seeing them one-on-one, face-to-face. As I mentioned, outstanding echo as well. So I really enjoy the collaboration with the team that we have here.
You actually have quite a unique staff member there as well.
That's right, I do. An exercise physiologist who on the clinical side.
He's got a really amazing story that he's shared many times and been public about, but he grew up not far from me, and I got to know him after he had his arrest in junior high, and he's doing great today, and now he's in the field and working at one of our centers, which is a really nice.
And he might actually be the one doing the exercise test for some of our patients with HCM.
That's kind of cool. A member of the tribe, guys.
Yep.
That's really nice.
Helping his own condition.
Yeah, he wanted to do that from very early on, like very young, like high school. He started talking about it, coming to HCMA meetings and being intrigued with all of the possibilities, and went on, got his career started, and landed right there with you. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're the one who made the connection. Or I don't know, he may have mentioned it too. When I said that we're applying for this, he goes, "Oh, I know them." Yeah.
Yeah, I had lunch with his mom this summer. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, mom doesn't live too far from here, so that's kind of cool too. So it's big, it's small, it's personal, and it's elaborate as well. So you've got this very complex structure at Duke, and you've got all of these individuals playing a part, but you're the orchestrator of these visits, and you're their home base for HCM care, correct?
Yes, I'd like to think of it that way. I think that having some sense of responsibility and ownership, I think is helpful, especially when a patient may need to see so many different specialists. Having someone as the go-to person if they're waiting for a test result or something like that is very important.
I couldn't agree more. So we've learned about the team. We've learned about some of the history of research. What's going on today research-wise at Duke with HCM?
Yeah, so there's ongoing studies here in imaging and cardiac MRI looking at perfusion abnormalities in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. We were a site in the HCMR study, the large national study looking at the prognostic role of cardiac MRI, and we're waiting obviously for the 5-year results of that, so we're in the follow-up phase of that. We are involved with the myocardia studies of mavacamten. We actually were one of the first sites to ever treat a patient with HCM with mavacamten, what used to be MYK-461. So in the early phase 1 studies, patients had to spend 2 to 3 days in a clinical research unit with IVs and blood draws over that period of time to monitor them very closely. And we had 2 HCM patients who were one of the first in the world to receive that. So that was very exciting. And we've been participating with their studies in phase 2 and now phase 3 studies for obstructive HCM starting now. So that's been a fun relationship and research collaboration.
So HCMA is going to be helping on that. I'll just get a little push out. You guys are going to all be getting surveys very shortly, and you're going to see them posted right here on the HCMA Facebook page to know if you might be a candidate to participate in this trial, one of these trials, One is for obstructed, one is for non-obstructed. So stay tuned. Hopefully, maybe as soon as tomorrow, that will be actually launched. We're very excited to get it out there, and you're all going to be getting mailers at home as well. If you're already on our list. Otherwise, you can get that information straight from the office, the website, or the Facebook group. Just needed to get that plug in.
That's great. Thanks so much for your help with that.
The faster we get to the answers, the faster we get to another treatment option, or the faster we get back to the drawing board to build a better one. So I think we all have a shared interest in learning what's going to happen with that particular drug trial, and to see if maybe this is an answer for some people to feel better faster. I'm hoping it is.
Yeah.
Little crossed fingers there. What other research is going on in Duke? Because that's what I found to be a very unique difference about Duke versus some other programs. There is a constant effort and attention on research and what could be done and how to structure the next research project. I think you have an incredibly robust research arm, and I'd love to be able to put that to use for the HCM population.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we really hope to and strive to integrate research with our clinical practice as much as possible, exactly for the reasons that you mentioned. That
I'm here. My camera just went dead. Can you hear me?
I can see you. Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. So everybody can see me. I'm not sure. I went dead on my side.
But just for the reasons that you said, that finding the answers to what works and what doesn't work for patients for whatever their disease condition is very important. But especially in the condition of HCM, there are limited options. So if we can find an additional treatment that is effective, that would be a huge benefit to patients, I feel like.
I agree. So where else do you think we're going in terms of HCM care? Where do you think we might be able to reach in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Lisa. And I think one of the big hopes is that we obviously can find a treatment, perhaps a drug that modifies the disease, either causes regression of hypertrophy or prevents progression if you can identify a patient earlier. Certainly some of the basic things we still need to do better in terms of diagnosing patients with HCM who are not diagnosed for many years and have to continue having symptoms without treatment, or have risk of ventricular arrhythmias and not receive treatment. So earlier diagnosis and recognition and a lot of the patient education work that you do is very important, so that this diagnosis isn't thought of as, oh, that's a rare diagnosis that we don't see very much.
Exactly. The efforts that we have taken here in New Jersey to bring well-child examinations to include looking for heart disease in children. The Student Athlete Protection Act that we have in New Jersey, we would love to bring down to North Carolina and plant it there, so that we can work on not only detecting young people who are at risk for HCM, but finding their families, because we know this is a genetic disorder, and thereby we find one person in the family, we have the opportunity to screen the masses, and then we are able to treat more people and save more lives or improve more lives. And that's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. Improving quality of life and extending it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to come visit you in a couple more months, back actually in June of 2019. Tell us what that meeting's going to look like.
Yes. So we are developing a patient education day through the SHARE registry and also with the HCMA. And it's really, we hosted one about a year and a half ago in our Durham Convention Center. We had over 200 participants, mostly HCM and their family, a few with dilated cardiomyopathy, but actually thus far has been the largest attended SHARE Day across the country for little old Durham.
Yay.
So we're out to top that number, and we're going to focus just on hypertrophic cardiomyopathy this time, not dilated. Really just for the patient with HCM, we're going to be talking about the diagnosis, what tests some of these patients may go and why it's important, information that we get from these tests, what treatment options there are, how do we risk stratify patients. So really information that hopefully makes the patient understand, or allows the patient to understand their condition, but also understand that there are treatments available, and that their lives can be improved. And the other thing I'll say that's very exciting is that we're going to include the HCMA site in Charlotte in this as well. We're going to invite their director, and he's going to be speaking, I think, mostly on medical therapy. So it will be a not just a regional, it's going to be a state HCM event here.
And that's going to be awesome. And I'll be bringing my heart in a box. And by then, my original heart will probably have 3 travel companions. And I'll take this opportunity to invite everybody back here on Friday morning around probably 10 a.m. Eastern, when I will be visiting Baylor and my friend Bill Roberts again, and we will be sectioning 3 hearts that were transplanted from HCM patients live on Facebook. So I encourage you to sign back in here, and I encourage you to stay around and ask a couple of questions here in a few minutes of our guest. And we are going to look forward to an exciting couple of weeks ahead here, and a couple months ahead, getting this program together, getting Duke in our program. You'll be able to see their information and contact information on our directory, effective actually earlier this week. So we are launched. You can find them easy now right through the 4hcm.org website. And if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask, they must be general in nature. We can't do individual patient consults on Facebook for obvious reasons. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of the Duke program, Dr. Wang, or the HCMA, we'll take those in a few minutes. And I will ask Dr. Wang any interesting HCM stories, I didn't tell them about this part, that you can share with us, interesting cases or patients' stories.
Well, they're all interesting. They're actually all very interesting. But with the one thing that we do have in common, aside from the Duke employee, is the large kindred of HCM patients that was diagnosed here with a novel mutation by the Harvard lab way back in the late 90s by one of our cardiology fellows. He actually went to a family reunion. Yep. And set up a phlebotomy station and drew blood and sent it to the Harvard lab, and they identified a novel myosin heavy chain mutation. And many of those family members we still follow, and the matriarch I know you knew well. She attended some of your HCMA events, and she was just a lovely woman.
I will mention her name. She's passed. Cleo and her family, and it's an unusual name. Absolutely delightful family, lovely people, and I'm sure some of her relatives will eventually check this out and say, they're talking about my family, because not every family has a phlebotomist show up at the family reunion. But when you have HCM, these things can happen, especially if you're involved in research.
We know I've thought about their family because they're from east of here, where the recent Hurricane Florence was really very bad. So I actually have thought of my patients like their family who are from that area, and hope that they're doing well and didn't have too much destruction there.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to some of the family members that I know. I haven't seen them on Facebook for a couple of days, so I'm guessing that they probably don't have power right now. So our thoughts are with all of those who are affected by the hurricane at this moment, because it seems that we have a lot of hurricanes lately and a lot of destruction. So, that's actually kind of an interesting question. You're a cardiac patient and there's a massive disaster. I always remind people to make sure that they have at least 30 days of prescriptions on hand, so that in case they can't get to a pharmacy in storm seasons, that they're not going to be left without their medication. And believe it or not, it's one of those things that people forget about, and they try to run to the pharmacy the day before a major storm, and they're often sold out. So remember, if a storm's coming, stock up on your medication. So that's it. It doesn't look like we have any specific questions today, so I'm going to give one more call out for any questions, and I will put it across our little show me screen. and see if anybody has any questions today. And they don't normally let a physician sneak by here without trying to pick your brain about something. But we don't seem to have anybody who wants to ask questions today, so we're going to let them slide. But a lot of people are popping in and saying hello, but no real questions. Any parting thoughts before I let you get back to your day?
No, I just want to say thank you again for including us as one of your centers. We're excited for the collaboration. Like you said, as a legacy program, it feels like we've been working together behind the scenes for many years, and I look forward to even stronger interactions going forward. So thank you for your support.
Of course, we do have a last-minute question. Any information how to get an AED? So external defibrillators, automatic external defibrillators, are rather commonplace these days, can be purchased online with a prescription in some areas, without a prescription in other parts of the world. So you can get them online, and we don't normally recommend them for those with HCM as a method of treatment, but sometimes people want them in the house as secondary backup. So I'm not exactly sure what the question is. Any other thoughts there?
No, I think you're right. So most of these are available online. They actually have comparisons and ratings of them that are available also. But as you said, it's not a 24/7, 365 solution, because you want it available within, a very short period of time if it were ever needed.
Yeah, they don't work very well when you're sleeping.
Or driving.
Or driving, you're right, or driving. So people are very excited for the talk, and we hope to see a lot of you in Durham in June. And
yeah, it's a great town. You should come visit. It's so much better than it was a few years ago. You should definitely come and visit.
It's a very pretty town, and I have a dear friend that lives there who I couldn't see the last time I was there because I was in and out so fast. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with Claire Russo, but she's not Claire Russo anymore. She's Claire Mann. Upstate New York, prescription coverage. Dana, I'm going to ask you to call the HCMA, and we can talk about the individual case and see if AED is potentially able to be covered in that area, or whether or not you're going to just have to do out of pocket. Depends on the circumstance and the insurance company. We can try to help you navigate that. Give us a call, 973-983-7429. Option 1, Donna will set up a time for us to talk. So we'll talk then. All right, Dr. Wang, thank you so much for spending some time with us on this really lovely day here in New Jersey. I hope the rain has passed you by and the ground dries up and everything gets ready for June, and we get to have a great time together.
Thanks you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, very much. Look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.